My cousin said I was going to die lonely as a cat woman and only have cats in my house because no man wants me. Well, I guess she's in for the surprise of a lifetime, because her wedding turned out to be a disaster. My cousin just said something insensitive to me, and I'm really hurt, but I don't know how to react because she's getting married soon, and I am her maid of honor. My cousin Sarah and I always been joined at the hip. We were born a week apart in the same hospital and grew up in the same town. Our mothers are sisters and extremely close in their own right, so our family spent practically every waking day together, and I've always seen Sarah more as a sister than a cousin. I always thought she felt the same way, and I still hope that she does. Okay, for a little bit of context about the incident that has me writing this, we need to go back to my and Sarah's college days. Given the fact that we're practically the same person throughout our childhood, and by the way, we're both 29, we ended up attending the same college. I still swear that the day we both opened our acceptance letters was one of the best days of my life. We both got an apartment near campus together and everything was perfect. We had different majors for what it's worth, so we weren't shadowing each other around campus all day. We did have our own lives and our own friends, but she was definitely my best friend throughout our time here. About a month into freshman year, I hit it off with a guy in one of my classes and we started hanging out sometimes. Let's call him Nick. Nick had a roommate in a different major, and Matt and Sarah would sometimes tag along when we hung out. It was college, we were young, and we spent a lot of time together, so it made sense to us when Matt and Sarah started dating too. Towards the end of sophomore year, senior year rolls around, and Nick and I are still going strong. Matt and Sarah are on the rocky end and end up calling it quits. But everyone does stay a bit friendly, and Nick and Matt have become really close and end up getting an apartment together in a building near ours. And Sarah was obviously still my cousin. So they still hung out with us frequently, and there was never any tension or lingering awkwardness after the breakup. From what I know about the breakup, Sarah was the one to end things since apparently their plans for the future did not line up. With graduation around the corner, everyone was thinking about the future. And when we finally did graduate, Sarah decides to head back to our hometown while Nick, Matt, and I all stayed in the state that we've gone to school in. A few months later, Nick proposed, and about a year after that, I was walking down the aisle. Sarah was obviously my first choice for a maid of honor. She was over the moon for Nick and I. All through college, she had been our biggest supporter, and she was the best maid of honor I could have ever asked for, given that they'd become such good friends in college. Nick asked Matt to be his best man, and I was initially worried about Sarah and Matt seeing each other again after so many months apart, especially since Matt had been seeing other people in the time since graduation. But I ended up worrying for nothing because they worked together to make our wedding a dream come true. They seriously went the extra mile at every opportunity and just never let their past make anything awkward. Even during the reception where my bridesmaid and Nick's groomsmen danced together, with the two of them obviously paired up as maid of honor and best man. Both of them actually sent Nick and I to the airport for our honeymoon together, and by the time we got back, they announced that they had decided to get back together. I was completely over the moon for them. Obviously, I respected their choice to be apart, and I loved both of them regardless. But having our little group back together was honestly the best wedding present they could have given me at the time. And yes, to top it all off, Sarah decides to make the move to our city to be closer to Matt. All I remember at this time is how happy we were. We were all young, in love, and just starting out in life, and everything was perfect. Until it wasn't. A couple years into our marriage, Nick and I decided to start trying for a baby. We were settled enough in the city we were in, and we had an amazing support system. Nick's parents had been on the older side when he was born, and due to their advanced age, any subsequent pregnancies would have been too risky for his mother, so he was raised as an only child. He'd always dreamt of having kids young and having the energy to do everything he'd ever dreamt of with them, and I was more than on board with the plan. Having a plan and seeing it through are really different things, though. And after 2 years of trying unsuccessfully, we went to see a fertility doctor, and eventually found out that though I wasn't infertile, the chance that I would ever conceive was like really, really low. Even if I did manage to conceive, the likelihood of seeing it through to term was even lower. I'm not going too much about the reasoning for this, as there are people in my life who are aware of the details, and yeah, I would like to maintain my anonymity in case anything happens and someone finds the post, but the gist of it is that I wasn't going to be a mother anytime soon. Not biologically, at least, or in Nick's case, I would not be able to make him a father. That was the sticking point of the situation that started that had been perfect relationship all through college and marriage on the path to failure. We fought more than we ever had before, and I didn't really have any turn to give the fact that Nick and I agreed to leave Matt and Sarah out of it. At least we didn't cause any problems between them. During this time, Matt and Sarah end up getting engaged and announced that they would be getting married later this year. The reason that they're rushing the marriage being that Sarah was pregnant and they wanted to get married before the baby was born. That was the tipping point for Nick because a few months ago I came home from work to find all his stuff gone and a measly note, telling me that he could not go on like this, watching the people close to him live his dream just because I was defective. So I spent the weekend just processing it, and I didn't call anyone and I didn't tell anyone what happened, but he must have, because Sarah showed up at my door the next day and held me through what must have been hours of tears and screams and denial. I was a wreck, and she held me together without a single complaint. I told her everything. I told her about the fights, the infertility, the note, and she sat and listened and did not for a moment judge me for it. She even apologized for springing the news of her engagement and pregnancy on me, while I was going through everything, and told me if she had known, she would have been there for me every single step of the way. I did not doubt her for a second. It's been a few months now, and I have not spoken to Nick at all. He had a lawyer contact me about starting the divorce process, and my lawyer has handled all communication since then. He wants a clean break, and I do too. That brings us to yesterday. About 2 weeks ago, Sarah asked me to be her maid of honor, and she told me that she knows that I've been through a lot in the past few months, so she would more than understand if I declined it. But of course I accepted. She's my sister. She supported me through everything, and I wasn't going to bail on her just because I was still healing, and I'm more than aware that given the fact that she's marrying Matt, Nick is almost definitely going to be there. More than that, he's probably going to be the best man even, considering Sarah and Matt served as our maid of honor and the best man when they were broken up. It felt a bit hypocritical to complain about it, so I sucked it up and I said yes. Since then, Sarah and her bridesmaids have been over practically every single day, just to sort out the details of the wedding. My apartment's the most central location, and since Sarah's place is getting kind of cluttered with all the wedding and baby stuff, I had no problem hosting the planning session. The only issue so far has been that one of Sarah's bridesmaids, Allison, is really scared of my cats. No one else has even raised an issue, and she isn't allergic or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, she's just really worried that they're going to scratch, bite, or attack her for some reason. Yes, I have 2 cats. A mother and a daughter, and that I found near my office about a week after Nick left. I don't know if you guys are familiar with cat distribution system meme, but I really do think that those 2 found me right when I needed them the most. Yes, I know it sounds silly, but I don't think I would have made it through the last few months as well as I have without them. They're my girls, and I love them with all my heart. That said, I swore to never be the kind of pet owner to put their fur babies above everyone else, so whenever Allison does come over, I have the cats in the spare bedroom that I've turned into a bit of a cat room. They've got food, water, and litter boxes in there, so hey, don't you worry. Even though the cats are literally locked away when she's over, Allison still finds a way to complain about it. She's Sarah's best friend from work, though I don't want to cause any tension, especially this close to the wedding. So I've just been putting up with it, but she seems to be getting bolder every time she comes over, and Sarah has not said a word against it. Yesterday, Sarah, Allison, and one other bridesmaid were over at my place to look over the alterations on the bridesmaid dresses. One of my cats scratched up the corner of my couch while I was at work, and Allison made a comment about how she would, keep the maid of honor gown so Sarah would not have a maid of honor showing up in clawed-up dresses. I laughed just to be polite and assured them that the cats couldn't really get into my closet, which prompted Sarah to ask if the cats were allowed in my bedroom and on my bed. When I said, yeah, of course they were, Allison made this disgusted face and said something along the lines of, well, that's why you don't have a man in your bed. I had no idea how to react, and the other bridesmaid actually excused herself to the bathroom to leave the room, but Sarah actually laughed and said, oh, for sure. That's why OP's going to die alone. The divorce to crazy cat lady pipeline is wild. Guys, I absolutely felt like bursting into tears right then and there, but I held it together until they left a little while later. Even now, I'm sitting here with a pit in my stomach every time I think about what she said. I know she probably meant it as a joke, but I can't help but feel hurt by what she said. Her wedding is right around the corner, and I don't want to cause any drama, but I really don't know what to say to her the next time that I see her. Do I tell her I was hurt? Am I overreacting? Let me know. Update number 1. Okay, so I was hoping to get some responses to my posts, but I did not expect people to reach out to me with stories of their struggles to conceive and everything that comes with it. Thank you so much to all the lovely women who have DM'd me over the last few days to offer words of advice and comfort. It means more to me than you'll ever know. To clarify a few things that I did see brought up, I do indeed still live in the apartment that Nick and I lived in together. The lease had already been signed by the time he left, and since it's my name on it, I don't have a choice unless I'm just, forking up a lot of money to break it. Next, the main thing that I saw confusion about was Sarah's pregnancy. She is indeed still pregnant, and in the interest of privacy and maintaining my anonymity, I'm hesitant to provide her actual numbers, but she's in her second trimester. She announced her pregnancy early on, as soon as she found out early, and hopefully that gives you a better idea of the timeline of it all. Okay, let's move on to the actual update. I know a lot of you are going to be disappointed. I did not cut her off. I didn't go to her house and cuss her out, and I haven't called my aunt to tell her what her daughter said. I've decided just to handle this like an adult. And being an adult means not throwing a tantrum every time I get my feelings hurt. Sarah means a lot to me. She's more than just my cousin, she's my sister. And anyone with siblings will tell you that sisters say the worst things sometimes. Well, that doesn't mean that you should stop being sisters. She's pregnant and she's planning a wedding, and I can imagine how stressed she is. I'm not interested in adding to that. Maybe after the wedding, after the baby's here, I'll talk about it with her. But I really can't imagine holding on to the hurt for that long. So I'm going to be a big girl, and we're going to keep planning this wedding. Even if that means putting up with Allison for a little while longer, at least I don't have to wait until the baby's born to stop spending time with her. The moment the wedding's done, I plan to never see or hear from Allison ever again. And I don't care if that's immature, I'm being mature enough about everything in my opinion. The only negative right now is that it's officially been confirmed that Nick will be Matt's best man. He's been helping Matt plan out everything on their end, but I guess Matt never officially asked him until now because I just saw Matt posting about his very dramatic proposal. I guess it isn't negative, seeing as I knew Nick would be involved, but having the confirmation and seeing him again in Matt's post is another thing altogether, and I'll get over it. But I will admit to feeling a little down right now. In any case, Sarah will be over again soon for dinner and placement selections. The wedding planning continues, and for what it's worth, she'll be coming over alone, so I won't have to deal with Allison today, and the kitties will remain free to roam. I hope that no one is too disappointed by my decision, just to let things go. But sometimes we just can't hold on to every little grievance and still hope to be happy. Thank you all for your advice. Regardless, I do appreciate it. Update number 2. Hey guys, so I didn't think I would really have another update to make after the last one, but here I am once again, close to tears and typing here. I hope this just doesn't become a pattern. I ended my last post with my decision to let things go and focus on Sarah and the wedding. She was the picture-perfect maid of honor for me, and I did not want to be anything less for her. Evidently, the sentiment did not go both ways. She told me she was coming over with placement samples for the table settings at the reception. She arrived about an hour after she said she would, without any placements in sight. I was confused, but I figured that we still have dinner, and she'd show me pictures of them instead, and when I asked her about it, she just said that we would eat first. She seemed off throughout dinner and really insistent on talking about anything other than the wedding. She asked me about work, about the cats, and if I had anything exciting planned in the upcoming months, which is admittedly weird. She already knew all this stuff, but she was determined to keep the conversation of me and my plans, so I obliged. I figured maybe she was stressed about the wedding or the baby, so I just let it go. Once we ate, we moved over to the couch where I started looking for the old placement samples that I've taken pictures of on my phone. But she stopped me to say that she wanted to talk to me about something. She asked if I had seen Matt's post about his best man proposal, and I told her, yes, I have. And she asked me how I felt about it. I didn't want to dump all my emotions on her when she was clearly already dealing with something, so I assured her that regardless of the situation between Nick and me, I'd do my best to keep things smooth sailing and that I would not cause any drama. I told her that I was dedicated to being the best maid of honor she could have. Instead of looking in any way reassured by what I said, she seemed to be even more stressed out. She told me that she and Matt have been talking, and they both just thought that it was best for me to step down as maid of honor. Obviously, I was shocked. She had not even hinted at wanting me to step down, and given that the only thing that had changed in the last few days was Nick officially becoming best man. I asked if he had anything to do with their decision, and Sarah immediately denies this and tells me that Nick didn't even know that Matt and Sarah were considering asking me to step down. And I asked if this was something she's been thinking about for a while, and she said that Matt had initially pointed out that I wasn't technically a maid, since I had already been married and since Nick and I weren't legally divorced. She actually told me that she wanted me as a bridesmaid, just not the maid of honor who would have to do everything with Nick. She told me that I didn't have to make my decision immediately and that I could take as much time as needed, and she would respect whatever decision I made, but she would need to take the maid of honor dress with her. I don't know who she's asked to be the new maid of honor, and I have no idea if I should even accept her offer to continue being a bridesmaid. The selfish part of me just wants to skip the wedding altogether at this point. Maybe I should just attend as a guest and leave as soon as the ceremony ends. I don't really know what I should do. Update number 3. So much has gone down since my last update, let me fill you in. I feel like I'm still processing everything, but the first time in months, I feel something other than hurt and sadness because I'm beyond Matt. To start, I read through all the DMs telling me to grow a backbone and finally spoke to my mom about everything. I asked her not to say anything to my aunt, and we both came to the conclusion that it would be best for me to attend the wedding as a regular guest. I went over to Sarah's place and told her as much in person, and where I also found out that Allison was going to be my replacement maid of honor. Ordinarily, that would have been the focus of my hurt, but since we've still got a lot to go through in this update, we're going to gloss past that for now. When I got back from Sarah's place, I found Nick sitting in what used to be our living room watching TV. I haven't actually seen him since he walked out of my life without nothing more than a note telling me that I was defective for not being able to give him a child. You could probably imagine that after speaking to Sarah about the maid of honor position, I wasn't exactly in the best headspace to go and deal with my soon-to-be ex-husband. Well, unfortunately for me, there was a lot needed to be caught up on. So, he goes ahead and he just starts trying to apologize for what he's done to me. But when I made it crystal clear that I was not listening to his little empty apologies, He dropped what might as well have been a bomb right there on me. You see, to start, Nick had been dating Allison, and that in itself hurt, but it did not end there. Nick had begun dating Allison before he left me. We'd met Allison briefly at Sarah's birthday party earlier this year, and apparently she's been starting messaging him on Insta. This was near the height of our marital problem, so he sought comfort in her. He told me that the relationship had not gotten physical until after he left me, but that when he left, he went straight to her apartment. They begun seeing each other properly after that day, and had even gone on a number of double dates with Matt and Sarah. So when Sarah was comforting me about my husband walking out on me, she was also going on double dates with him and the girl that he left me for. The kicker is that Nick had just discovered that Allison was cheating on him with Matt. I took a minute to process everything he just told me, but I knew almost as soon as he said it that we just had to tell Sarah. I mean, for real. I had to deal with her knowing about Nick and Allison after making sure that she did not also get married to a cheater. We went over to her house immediately. Matt was still supposed to be at work, so it would be just, us and Sarah. I figured that having Nick there would make the story more credible considering he is Matt's best friend. But by the time we got there, it was clear that Matt had been home for a while and had already spoken to Sarah. She wouldn't even let us into the house and told her that Matt had told her everything about Nick, wanted to leave Allison and get back together with me, and how he was going to blame Allison for everything, and that when Allison found out and went to Matt, that Nick swore to take them both down with him. She said that she could not believe that I was desperate enough to believe a man who had cheated on me and left me for a younger, hotter woman, and that she could not believe that I would try to ruin her marriage just because I could not save mine. She invited us both to the wedding and told me that she was glad that she was an only child because she did not know what she would do if I was her real sister. I have nothing to say. She didn't pick up my calls, and honestly, I don't know what I would say to her even if she did. I've stopped trying to reach her. I've stopped feeling hurt over everything that she said. All that's left is anger, and it has no place to go. Update number 4. Hey guys. The trend of me not thinking that I'd have another update continues, and once again I actually do. It's been a while since my last post, which reading back now was definitely a heavy hitter. I would say that just as much has occurred since then, but I think I'm officially past caring about it. That said, I figured that all you would appreciate this update, and to be clear, I've never been the kind of person to celebrate someone else's downfall. I really do believe in karma, though, and that's what give you is what you get, so I'll admit that this is a teensy bit satisfying. Sarah's wedding was last weekend. Notice that I did not say that Sarah got married last week. That's because she did not. In fact, her would-be groom is currently on their honeymoon with her maid of honor, and allow me to catch you up. After I was uninvited from the wedding, I called my mother to fill her in on everything that happened in the time between us, deciding that I should step down as a bridesmaid, and me getting home that night. My mother sees Sarah as a second daughter, but she has always been, above all else, heard me out. So when it became crystal clear I wasn't lying or even exaggerating about everything that's gone down, she was completely on my side. She offered to call my aunt, but my aunt beat her to it with Sarah's side of the story. From what my mother told me, they argued over the phone for a good few hours with both of them siding with their own daughter. Ultimately, my mother decided not to attend the wedding, and obviously I felt awful. Regardless of what happened between me and Sarah, I never wanted it to spill over to our moms. My mom and aunt have never so much as argued in all the time I've seen them together, so I know that whatever was said between them, it must have been bad. My mom assured me that her decision not to attend was her own and that I should not feel guilty at all about it. In any case, I sort of regret missing the wedding, because from what I've been told by my other cousin, it was straight out of a soap opera. The wedding began. The groom arrived, and right as Sarah starts to walk down the aisle, Matt stepped off the altar and announced that he could not go through with the wedding because he was in love with someone else. That someone being Allison, of course, standing front and center in the maid of honor dress, and according to one of my cousins, they've slipped away hand in hand when Sarah starts having a panic attack, and everybody rushed to her aid. I can absolutely imagine the pandemonium of my extended family clashing with Matt after his declaration, but I honestly don't really want to. As far as I'm concerned, Matt and Allison are both terrible people who, quite frankly, deserve each other. As much as my head hurts for the sister I used to have, and I hate to say this, I tried to warn her. I don't know what she's going to do about the baby, or even where she's going to live now, considering she's been living in Matt's apartment since she moved here, and I really don't think I care. If you'd asked me just 2 months ago, I could not have imagined not reaching out to her and even offering to let her move in with me. At this point, however, the only thing going through my head is that she made her bed and now she has to sleep in it. To everyone who's interacting with this whole series of posts, thank you. You gave me a listening ear when I seriously needed it the most, and I just hope that I've provided all of us some closure with this update. I think I'm finally ready to move on from this whole mess, and I may have lost a sister, but I've gained a whole different perspective. Thank you so much for all your help. So here's the question. Was OP wrong for rejecting the cousin towards the end of the story when we know everything that led up to that exact moment? In my opinion, no, I don't think it was wrong, because the cousin of today's story said some really hurtful, hateful, and just mean things to OP. And I agree with the comment, she deserved every bit of it. Well, not the cousin to the OP, but the OP to the cousin. Anyways, let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section down below. I would love to discuss this one with you. But once again, in my opinion, no, OP is not the a-hole. My name's Mr. Reddito, and I narrate stories like this every day. Drama stories. I'm talking mother-in-law dispute, inheritance dramas, absolute Karen in the Wild stories, HOA battles, and it goes on, even cheating stories. That's right, drama, drama, drama. So once again, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.